Hey kids, today we're going to explore the amazing world of snails. Have you ever seen a snail slowly crawling in your garden? Or maybe you've seen a snail with a big, beautiful shell at the pet store. Get ready to learn about 10 different types of snails that are super cool and interesting. Some snails have really bright colors, while others have shells that are shaped so uniquely. We're going to learn all about where these snails live, what they like to eat, and what makes each one special. Our first snail is a familiar friend we might find right in our backyards. It's the garden snail. They love to eat plants and flowers. The garden snail has a big round shell that's brown and tan, kind of like a swirl of chocolate and vanilla ice cream. When the garden snail gets scared or wants to take a nap, it can hide inside its shell for protection. These snails are super strong. They can carry up to 10 times their weight in their shells. Garden snails are slow movers, but they sure are good climbers. They leave a slimy trail behind them as they move, which helps them stick to surfaces and find their way back home. Next time you're in your garden, look around for a garden snail and say hello. But remember, be gentle and don't touch its shell too much. Get ready to meet a snail that lives in the water. This is the Apple Snail, and it's one of the biggest snails in the world. Some apple snails can grow to be as big as a baseball. Apple snails live in ponds, lakes, and rivers. They love to swim around and look for yummy plants and algae to eat. They have a special tube called a siphon that they use to reach up to the surface of the water and take a breath. It's like having a built-in snorkel. Apple snails are popular pets because they're fun to watch and they come in lots of different colors. Some people even have pink or purple apple snails. Now, let's put on our scuba gear and dive into the ocean to meet another incredible snail. Hold on tight because we're about to meet a snail that's a little bit dangerous. This is the Cone Snail, and it lives in warm ocean waters all around the world. The Cone Snail gets its name from its shell, which is shaped like a cone or an ice cream cone. Hidden inside its mouth is a tiny harpoon that's filled with venom. The cone snail uses this harpoon to hunt fish and other small creatures. The venom from a cone snail can be dangerous to humans too, so it's important to look but not touch if you ever see one in the ocean. Scientists are actually studying the venom from cone snails because it might help them develop new medicines. So even though they're a little bit dangerous, cone snails can also be helpful to humans. Are you ready to meet another amazing snail? Let's slither on to the next one. Let's journey into the rainforest to meet a snail that's as bright as a ray of sunshine. It's the Banana Snail, and it's named after its shell, which is bright yellow, just like a banana. The banana snail lives in tropical rainforests where it's warm and humid all year round. They love to munch on juicy fruits and leaves, just like their favorite food, bananas. These snails are nocturnal, which means they like to come out at night when it's cooler. They use their strong sense of smell to find food in the dark. The banana snail is a land snail, which means it lives on land and not in the water. They need moist environments to survive, so they love to hang out in the rainforest where it rains a lot. The banana snail is an important part of the rainforest ecosystem. They help to break down dead plants and leaves, which helps to create new soil. They're like tiny recyclers. Now, let's travel to a land far away to meet a snail that's named after a famous pharaoh. Get ready to meet a snail that's fit for a king. This is the Ramses Snail, and it's named after the famous Egyptian pharaoh Ramses the Great. The Ramses Snail has a very unique shell that's tall and pointed, kind of like the crown that Ramses the Great wore. The Ramses Snail is found in Africa, where it lives in dry, rocky areas. It can survive in very harsh conditions, just like the ancient Egyptians who lived in the desert. This snail is a herbivore, which means it only eats plants. It uses its rough tongue to scrape algae and lichen off of rocks. It's like a little lawnmower, keeping its environment clean. The Ramses snail is a very adaptable creature, and it can go without water for a long time. It's a true survivor. Now let's hop over to a nearby pond to meet a snail that's a little closer to home. Our next snail is a common sight in ponds and lakes all over the world. It's the pond snail, and it plays a very important role in its watery environment. The pond snail has a small spiral-shaped shell that's usually brown or green. These snails are herbivores and they love to eat algae. They use their radula, which is like a tongue with tiny teeth, to scrape algae off of rocks and plants. They're like little cleaning crews, keeping the pond clean and healthy. Pond snails are also a food source for many different animals, including fish, turtles, and birds. They're an important part of the food chain. These snails breathe air, just like the apple snail. They have a special breathing pore that they can use to come up for air when they need to. Next time you're near a pond, take a closer look and see if you can spot a pond snail hard at work. Get ready to meet a snail that's unlike any other. This is the sea butterfly, and it's named after its beautiful translucent shell that looks like a delicate butterfly wing. The sea butterfly is a master of disguise and a skilled escape artist. It can quickly change direction and even swim backwards to avoid predators. Instead of crawling like other snails, the sea butterfly flies through the water using two wing-like appendages called parapodia. These parapodia flap gracefully, propelling the sea butterfly through the water like a graceful dancer. These tiny creatures are an important food source for many marine animals, including whales, seabirds, and fish. They play a vital role in the ocean's food chain. The sea butterfly is a fascinating example of how animals can adapt to their environment in amazing ways. Now let's dive back down to the coral reefs to meet another colorful snail. Get ready for a burst of color as we meet the Turban Snail. This snail is like a living rainbow, with its shell painted in a dazzling array of bright colors and intricate patterns. The Turban Snail gets its name from its shell's shape, which resembles a turban. These snails are herbivores and they play an important role in keeping the coral reefs clean. They graze on algae and detritus, preventing them from overgrowing and harming the coral. They're like tiny gardeners tending to the coral reefs. The turban snail's beautiful shell makes it a popular choice for collectors. But remember, it's always best to admire these creatures in their natural habitat, where they play a vital role in the ecosystem. Let's move on to our next snail, which is just as stylish as the turban snail. Look at those stripes! It's the zebra snail, and it's named after its striking black and white stripes, just like a zebra. This snail is a freshwater friend, often found in rivers, lakes, and streams. The zebra snail's stripes help it to blend in with its surroundings, making it harder for predators to spot them. These snails are incredibly small, often no bigger than your fingernail. Zebra snails are filter feeders, which means they eat tiny particles of food that are floating in the water. They use their gills to filter out algae, bacteria, and other organic matter, helping to keep the water clean and clear. They're like tiny water filters. Now get ready to meet our final snail, which is as smooth and sleek as its namesake. Our final snail is as smooth and sleek as its namesake, the olive. It's the olive snail, and it's named after its smooth, shiny shell that ranges in color from pale green to dark brown, just like different types of olives. The olive snail is a marine snail, which means it lives in the ocean. It prefers warm, tropical waters and is often found hiding among rocks and seaweed. Unlike some of our other snail friends, the olive snail is carnivorous. It uses its sharp radula to drill into the shells of other mollusks like clams and oysters to get to the tasty meal inside. The olive snail's shell is very strong and durable, providing excellent protection from predators. It's like a little suit of armor. Now that we've met the olive snail, we've come to the end of our snail adventure. Wow, wasn't that fun? Snails are so fascinating and come in so many different shapes and sizes. We learned about snails that live in gardens, snails that live in water, and even snails that have venom. Remember, even though some snails might seem a little slimy or strange, they're all important parts of their ecosystems. They help to keep our planet healthy and balanced. Thanks for joining me today, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more fun videos. See you next time.